I want to talk about my experiences as a female Uber driver. I want to start off by letting you know that I started in a market where it was very new to the area. It wasn't a new thing or a new concept, it was new to my area. I don't live in an area like New York or Washington, D.C. However, it was a pretty good sized city. So I started when they started, like the very first day in the area. And I haven't done Uber in about 9 months. So this video is from my experiences for the 6 or 7 months that I did it, and then I stopped doing it about 9 months ago. So I was in grad school, I was in an accelerated graduate program, and therefore I was able to substitute teach, and I was able to Uber because I needed some flexibility with my program. So this seemed like a great fit, and in some ways it was, and in some ways it wasn't. I want to tell you my experiences, and some of them are going to be a little bit different than others because of the city I lived in, and also because I'm a female Uber driver. Because I heard from so many of my clients that, and because I used Uber too as well, that I was the only female Uber driver. So I don't know if that's true, but there was definitely a small portion if there were other Uber drivers that were females in the area. Starting off, I live in one of the bigger cities in our state. And then you go 45 minutes south and you get to one of the biggest cities in the state. That would be great because I have family that lives down in the bigger city and I live up north, and maybe in my travel, and I went to school in the bigger city, so I figured I could do, some Uber there and some Uber where I lived. No, that doesn't work that way, which I understand in some ways, but it would have been nice if I would have just been able to apply for both at the same time. Do they do background checks? Yes. Do they check your car? No. You just send pictures of your car and just say, hey, my car's fine. You could be taking a picture of somebody else's car. You could find another car that's like yours that looks better. They really have no idea about what you're driving. I mean, they're trusting you, and I'm sure that they do audits or whatever. I don't think I ever got one, but no, they do kind of a soft background check, and they make sure you have insurance, and they are so annoying about, like, my insurance was going to expire like 45 days or something, and they started sending me things letting me know that my insurance is going to expire, blah, 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 and then 2 weeks before it expired, they disabled my account. I renew the day that it is due, and they send me a new card. So, I mean, it's not like I was not going to get insurance, but I do think that they should, have me prove that, when I renew, because the way my insurance company works is they just send you a card every 6 months, and you pay every 6 months. You don't pay early, you don't pay late. You just pay it when it's due. So anyway, that was kind of annoying because I had to email them, and I got so many emails saying your account's going to be disconnected, and I even emailed them and said, hey, it's not due for this long, and please stop emailing me and texting me and stuff like that. So anyway, the nice thing, so speaking of text, is when you get a newer client, they can call you, but they don't get your number, because I was really worried about people getting my number. I didn't want everybody in the world to have my number, and sometimes they can call your phone though back, because I had a couple people call at like 4 in the morning. I don't know how that happened, because I thought that once the last person, the only person who could call you was the person who was on your account that time, so the person you were going to get at that time. So I'm not really sure how that works, but I did have a couple phone calls, but it still wasn't to my number. They had no idea what my personal number was. Okay, so let's talk about pay. If I lived in a busier city, it would have been probably a lot better. Surge pay, where, there's a big concert letting out, or like Halloween and everybody's partying or whatever, surge pay is definitely legit. I mean, you make some money, but surge pay is so erratic, and it's just for a few minutes sometimes it's for a couple hours, and oftentimes you get people who are grumpy about it, and I kind of can't blame them for being grumpy, but also take a taxi if you're grumpy about it. But it's hard to, you'll go out because you want surge prices, well then all the other Ubers go out. So the surge pay could make you make $20, $30 an hour if you're on a long enough surge and you do enough trips. Also, the other thing is, you could, a $5 was the base fee, and I seriously dropped a couple college kids off around the block. And so that's nice and everything, but I had to wait 5 minutes for them to get out to my car. I had to wait 2 or 3 minutes for them to tell me where they were going because they didn't put it in their GPS. And then I had to wait a couple minutes for them to get out of my car. So that's probably end up being 12 to 15 minutes for $5. That's pretty good, and if they would have been in and out, it would have been great. Whereas some trips, you have a great trip, so you're getting this however much per mile, and it varies by city. So I don't want to tell you and it varies between what type of Uber you're getting into. If you're getting an Uber Black or whatever, and I was just Uber Gangster. The lowest Uber you can get. So I drove a Ford Escape. So I don't want to say exactly how much it was because it does vary. So anyway, you're going to get a trip that's going to take 40 minutes, and you're man, I'm going to bank, and you do get a significant amount of money for that. However, now you're in the middle of BFE, and you have to pay to get back to the next client. So I've had to drive people outside of our radius where we're allowed to drive, and you're allowed to drive people out of it. You just can't pick up people up in the other in the other radius. So, you know, sometimes then I would have to drive, I drove somebody 40 minutes, I'd have to drive another 20 minutes to pick up another client. So that's my own gas money. That's my own wear and tear on my vehicle. That's my own personal thing. And Uber, you know, says that they're pretty much an app to assist you and you're your own boss. And that's true because you make your own schedule and, you know, you do your own thing. However, they're sending me emails and texting me all the time and they're checking up on me and they have this rating system and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, you aren't going to help me with certain things. And when I ask questions, they almost never answered it or answered it to the way I felt it needed to be answered. I have my cell phone here and like just a list of annoying questions that I asked. There are 8 in that email. So the pay, I think that it was decent, but you also have to make sure that you're keeping track of your mileage so that you can turn it in for taxes at the end of the year. And you won't get that money back until tax time. So you're out that money. And I think I figured it out that, and again, I don't live in a hugely busy area. Like the only times that I could really Uber and count on it to make money was for the nightlife, for the drunk people. But I counted that I was making like $14 an hour, and that was including the gas and stuff. So if I would take the gas away from that and the wear and tear on the car, this was when gas was $3.50 a gallon. So if you take that away and take the wear and tear on your car and just the sitting and waiting for somebody to request you, I mean, it's definitely not $14 an hour, I'll tell you that. So eventually, in the beginning, I was making a good amount of money, but by the time that everybody caught on and they were like, I want to be an Uber, I want to be an Uber, there were times that I would sit in my car on a Friday night, Saturday night, and wait for an hour or two. And the reason I would sit in my car and not at my house is because you can kind of track where your Uber is. And I didn't feel comfortable with that. So if I would wait in my house ready to go, people could track really close to where I am because you can see where the nearest Uber is. And you can also see when they left their location and they're them driving to you. So I didn't want people to figure out where I lived. So I would wait in a parking lot a couple miles away from my house. And there were times that I waited there forever. And I will tell you that this is true, that I'm not just exaggerating. There was another Uber driver. So this was my very first night out. And I am waiting. I just dropped off these college girls and I was waiting just in a parking lot near there for another request, and some guy comes up and he yells, and I was like, because it's like midnight, and he yells and he says, hey, are you an Uber? And so I just rolled down my window and I said, what do you want? And he was like, are you an Uber? And I said, why? And he goes, because, well, it says there's an Uber right here and I'm an Uber driver from Indianapolis, and I just want to say hey and see how it goes because I heard that it just came to town. I said, yeah, this is actually my first night. How did you locate me? And this is before I realized that it was that easy to locate. But like the parking lot I was in wasn't like, it definitely wasn't like every parking spot was full, but there were several other cars. And for him to come up to me and realize I'm an Uber, like there weren't a lot of other cars that had people in them and with their GPS going. So I do understand like I was a little bit easier to find, but what if that was some crazy, I mean, it was still a little weird, but what if there was some crazy person who was going to hurt me? Like, what? So, like, I became a little bit paranoid about that. And so I brought up a lot of safety concerns with Uber. I said, what do I do? How, you know, why can people track us that well? Like, maybe show, like, if you're within a couple minutes of the location where, you know, your Uber is and stuff like that. But I don't think that that's very important for them to know exactly where my location is. But I also think it's important for the clients to be safe too. So, and Uber just responded back with the safety thing is, we have a GPS, we know where you're at all times. And I said, so what happens if they steal my phone and they turn it off? And Uber just pretty much said that if something happens, we at least know where you are when it happens. Cool. So you know where I died, but you don't know where they hid my body. So I don't know. I got a little weirded out from that. And almost everybody, even girls, but mostly guys, they would get in the car and they would say, oh, you're a female Uber driver, and they would hit on me, or girls would get mad because their guy friends would talk to me. But I almost always heard this, ooh, a female Uber driver. Are you going to be able to get me to my location? Or they would joke about driving skills and how girls can't drive, or they would say something sexual in nature, and I'm just like, oh, gee whiz, like, shut up. So, you know, it was kind of a little bit difficult because I did feel a little bit targeted because I was a female Uber driver, not in like a major like bad way, but I felt like if something could go wrong, then I have no safety. I have no safety net. People would ask me all the time if I carried guns, if I had knives, and you know what I did to protect my safety. And so I, of course, I went along with it. I didn't tell them yes or no because I don't want to. You could be crazy and plotting my demise. I don't know. So it was just really scary. And there was no way. There was one time I did contact Uber because of some crazy guy. He was drunk, but like as we got closer and closer to his place, and it was like a 25-minute drive, it got a little bit more scary and a little bit more ridiculous. He started talking about the radius and diameter of boobs when he got into my car, and I was like, oh geez. And I knew he was just intoxicated, and he came from the gay bar, so I wasn't like feeling so super threatened, although like he was, he had a different demeanor when he entered my car than when he left. He definitely started talking more, I'm not trying to be offensive, but like he did talk a little bit more like a gay man as he exited my car than when he entered. When he entered, he was talking about females and how he thought they were beautiful and how they get creeped out by him, and talking about why they get upset, and that I needed to let him know why females get upset out. And he knows the diameter and radius of boobs and where that they are sexually stimulated, and that he knows how to work his tongue and stuff. And I'm just like, and this was like my first trip, because most trips like you had more than one person, and this was my very first trip with a single male. I had one earlier with a girl who needed to leave college to go to the ER because she didn't feel good. So this is my first trip, and here's some of it, because I finally did record it, because I was like, he'll notice if I call 911. So I just recorded some of it, and maybe you can hear. I'll skip around. Okay, let me give you a little bit of context besides what I just said before I play you the audio. So he does get in my car, and he's talking about boobs and sexual stuff, and getting upset with me because I wasn't able to tell him why women, and he didn't work out. And then we're getting closer to his house, and he's getting a little bit more argumentative, but also like going back and forth between arguing with me and telling me I'm the most beautiful woman ever, and that I should give him a chance and all this stuff. And then we get to his house, and this is right, I think, when we pull into his house. It might have been right before we got to his house. So I'm just like ready to kick him out and go, but I noticed we're going like way back into a neighborhood too. Like it wasn't just on a main street, so I was like, oh, just go. And he would not get out of my car, and I didn't want to make him angry and have anything happen either. So like I played along without playing along, if that makes sense. Like I just handled it, I guess, if that makes sense, without being rude or disrespectful and angering him. But he wouldn't get out of my car, and this is, again, like I said, he progressively went from like a straight-seeming man, a very sexual straight-seeming man, to more just more flamboyant. And so I just wasn't sure what was going on. So this is some of the recording. I hope you can hear it. It might be very hard to hear.
This is amazing. You don't have to kiss me, even though you want to. Okay.
Oh yes, he's trying to get me to kiss him right before I started recording this. Alright. He even put his arm around me and touched my face.
I'm amazing, you're amazing. Let's just kiss. Whatever. This is amazing.
Alright, I'm not
Cheeks.
gonna
No.
I have a boyfriend here, probably. Wouldn't you want to have a girl who's faithful to you?
I am. You're so gorgeous, I wouldn't care.
Okay, well, I'm going to be faithful. No, you're not ugly, but that's not...
No, seriously, like,
I'm
am I like
faithful.
hideous?
No.
I feel like
Did I wince when you got into the car?
No, because I think you're so amazing.
Well, I appreciate that.
So,
And you were amazing as well.
I'm testing you. I'm so totally...
Well, thank you. I'll hold it. I'll put it in the
so
glove
gorgeous,
compartment.
so gorgeous, just like you. Just so amazing. Do you promise?
I promise. I remember. You Drew.
His name was Drew, apparently.
I'll pass it on.
Well, thank you. I'll hold it. I'll put it in the glove compartment.
So gorgeous, just like you. Just so amazing. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
So awesome.
He kept telling me I was gorgeous, I was amazing, I was awesome. He said, I love you.
That's fast.
And I said, that's fast.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I don't want to leave.
I know.
He doesn't want
But I've got other people to save.
But it's just like weird. It's like I feel like you're protecting me from the dangers of the universe.
Well, I did. I got you home safe.
I know, but I feel like it's more than that.
Oh.
And I want to express my appreciation.
Well, I know where you live. If I find out what it is, I'll let you know. Okay.
Because it would be awesome. Because it won't weird my boyfriend out. Like,
Now he's talking about boyfriend. He has a boyfriend.
It'd be weird. We'd have fun though. It'd be awesome. Like, does your boyfriend get jealous?
I mean, not really. If I were kissing another guy, I think you wouldn't be happy with it. But
Yeah, but you're so way gorgeous. So, like, he's
Thank you.
probably like, she shouldn't even talk to another guy. Blah, 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 blah. By the way, straight guys are the dumbest people in the world.
Straight guys are the
Easily.
fucking dumbest people in the world, he said.
some of them.
No, all of them. There is no.
Are you gay or straight?
I'm straight gay. I love you, Mike.
Bye.
He finally got out when I asked if he was gay or straight. And he said he's straight gay.
Don't let him abuse you.
I won't. If anybody's abusing, it's probably I'm doing it.
He is now inside my car with just his hand in his head.
I'm about to get straight up Tina Turner up in here.
He's gonna get straight up Tina Turner up in here.
Don't let him do that.
Okay.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Love you too.
No, I love you.
Okay. I want to
Have
see
you seen Nine
make
Inch Nails concerts when people die? And I love them. I love you. I love you. I'm gonna call this number.
Okay.
Stop. You stop. Stop being so pretty. Goddamn. Be Shit. You annoy me. You're so pretty. You're so gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
No, you're so goddamn gorgeous. It's just like ridiculous, okay?
Okay.
Stop. You make me beat you. What's that
He
sound?
said, you make me beat you.
That sounds like a man who can't deal with his emotion.
Sounds like a man that can't deal with his emotions.
Don't let him think.
Go read some Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, really? Forevermore, forevermore.
Night.
I love you.
Good night.
I love you.
Heel tail heart.
I love you.
I love you too. Bye. Oh my gosh, he's walking around my car.
He started walking around my car.
I don't know what to do. He is bowing now, everybody, in front of my car. And I guess I'm supposed to leave, which I might do when I might hit him. Bye. Crazy.
Okay, so that was a little snippet. He bowed in front of my car and then moved over a little bit, and so I exited. But like, it was just very bizarre, and luckily I had only really one experience that was like this. Like almost every single night that I did Uber, there were comments about me being a female, and there were always like some sexual comments. These were drunk people, so I mean, I'm not saying that that's okay, but I kind of expected that. But that was a little bit too far. And this guy, I wish I would have thought to report it as soon as he started talking, because we went through like a learn about like his life. He likes Edgar Allan Poe and literature, and like I think we talked about music. Like we talked about a lot, but like he would just flip into craziness. And I know he was drunk, but it was just. And he wouldn't get out of my car, so I was like, crap, I'm in this dark neighborhood and off of not even on a main road anymore. And so anyway, I just don't think that Uber was considering my safety at all. And I don't know what they should do. Maybe there should just be like a little panic button that they can kind of set up in your car that dials directly to 911. I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is, but I needed a better answer than pretty much we're going to know where the issue happened. Okay, cool. That doesn't help me in the moment to try to protect myself. So, you know, and even if, you know, I carried a gun in there, it wouldn't necessarily be the easiest when you're sitting this close to somebody, like you're just in a car, to like get out and do something. I just feel like something else could have been done, and it was very scary. A few situations were very scary, and I just didn't know what I would have done if they would have actually been situations. So, and even as a male, I think that this would be scary because you could, not that, I mean, occasionally people leave you tips, and that's really nice because Uber takes a good amount of your pay. Like they take, I believe it's 20% of your pay, and plus $1. I just feel like as a guy too, you gotta be careful because people could assume you have money or see that you had a nice music player or something and, you know, steal from you. Besides the things that you've heard on the news or whatever about Uber drivers not being safe for the riders, it's kind of the other way around as well. Like I think I can see both sides, especially now that I've been an Uber driver. So safety is a big concern. Them being able to locate you, what you do if somebody gets a little crazy in your car, what do you do? Also, I had a bunch of people, and I'm looking down at a list because I wanted to make sure that I brought everything up, but there were often times, you know, I try to avoid the college people because although I didn't mind them, I kind of enjoyed them to some extent because I felt like they were kind of harmless. They were just drunk idiots, and a lot of us have been there, done that. They would try to pile, like my car could fit 4 other people. You have 1 in the driver's seat and you have 3 in the back. They would fit like 6 to 8 people in there, and like Uber says, you know, just tell them to get out and you'll wait for another, and they can split their fare and wait for another Uber. So I would take, you know, the 4 that I could take, and then another Uber would come back. Well, people get a little upset when you tell them that, and it's not like there is another Uber. There aren't Ubers just around every corner. So by them having to wait for another Uber, I would have to drive a lot of times 10 to 20 minutes to go pick up a client to take them right where I was. So there wasn't just another Uber around the corner. So I can understand them getting mad if they just needed 1 more person to squeeze in, but also when they're squeezing like 8 people. So I would take them. Pretty sure I could have gotten into a lot of trouble. And sometimes if they were already acting like idiots, like just beforehand, I would just leave. But then I've lost money because I've driven all the way out there. So like, you know, I've driven 15 minutes to go get you, and then you have like so many people, and that's a lie. So I would just normally rate them so that I wouldn't get them again. And that's how I did it. Because there was this girl that somehow I kept getting her, even though I kept like rating her so that I wouldn't get her. And she would like, I think just like would pay for her friends to go to clubs, and sometimes she would get right back in my car, and then she would eat tacos, and that was weird. So it just kind of created an unsafe environment, just having that many people in the car and not having enough seat belts. And there were also like drunk people that would sometimes like think that they needed to stick their faces out the windows or holler or whatever, or mess with my radio. And I really wasn't too troubled about messing with the radio. But I just asked if they would let me do it. Like, tell me what station and I'll do it. Because sometimes they would blare it, completely blare it, or they would just like press buttons that weren't even supposed to be pressed. So they're all little safety issues, but the biggest safety issue I was concerned about is what happens if somebody really is trying to attack me? Like what if somebody really wanted to hurt me? They would have been able to. It would have been an easy situation. Now, benefits, we were talking about pay earlier. Benefits, there's no real, they were starting to add some benefits as I left. Like there wasn't a retirement, there wasn't a health insurance plan, there wasn't any like type of benefits. Like I even emailed them and said, hey, as an Uber driver, do you get discounts on using Uber service? Because I go to Washington, D.C. a lot. And they said no. So, I mean, they didn't offer any perks. And if you look at Uber and Lyft, and if you just read up on them, you will see a lot more bad press about Uber. The CEO just is not a person and likes to attack other people and stuff like that. And I don't know that personally, like I never dealt with them, but just from the reading and then even some of the vibes I got from Uber, they're kind of like, we make the rules, but you're your own boss, so we're not going to help you, but we're going to make the rules. The kind of benefits that were coming up as I was leaving was like you could get a little discount at this tire shop or on AT&T or Verizon, I can't remember, or you could get a little bit of a discount on a Ford car, a Ford vehicle or something like that. So they were benefits like, you know, just discount kind of things and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything that really, you know, when you are looking for a job in a, like Washington, D.C. area, because I've talked to several Ubers there, just asking them, you know, a lot of them moved to this country and this is their job, and they were like, a lot of them had really professional like doctor degrees, like you know, we're practicing medicine in their own country. There's a lot of foreigners who drive in Washington, D.C. and you know, they're trying to support themselves on this, and they work as many hours as they can, and you can work a lot of hours. I mean, there's no like 40-hour a week cap or anything, and a lot of it's waiting for the next ride, the next request. So you know, if you're trying to do this for just extra money, I would say, yeah, it's not that bad. But if you're needing like insurance and if you're needing like a good source of income, it's not, I don't think, the best option. You know, they don't do enough. And again, they just started releasing some of those discounted benefits and stuff when I left, and you had to do so many trips in 3 months or something to even get those benefits. But I just don't think that they have the benefits that you should have to make sure that you're healthy and to make sure that you can collect retirement and stuff. The difference between, there's, you know, something kind of important. The difference between where I lived is my city was not like a daytime walking community. Like there aren't a lot of businesses that people were going to in my area. They, you know, the main reason that you would need to take somebody on an Uber was because they were intoxicated or you need to take them to the airport. The airport is like 30 minutes away, so you're driving 30 minutes away and you're not gonna really, it's hard to pick somebody up at the airport because not enough people know about Uber in this area yet, so you would drive back to, you know, the area where you would get more requests. So anyway, my area's a little bit different too. Like Uber wants you to, it wants to be more of a business type of app, whereas Lyft, like they want to be your friend, your pal, and Uber wants you to open the door for all of your clients and let them in, and you can even have water. And I had mints and lotion and all kinds of stuff so that people could feel more comfortable, like little perks for riding my car, and people would just stomp on them. Like wouldn't even, I had them in a nice little tray on the seat, they would just throw them, like it just became more of a hassle to do something nice than anything. But like I would open the door and people would look like I'm an idiot, and I probably did look like an idiot, so to open the doors, for one, I'm a girl opening doors for guys, and I don't think some guys are okay with that. But also, you know, you have like 5 people getting into your car, and I mean, you can't open the door for everybody. And a lot of people just wanted to get in and go. So, I mean, I don't think the opening the door thing, although I think it's nice when I ride an Uber, I don't think it's realistic for, you know, certain, you know, if it's more than 1 or 2 people. I just don't think it's realistic. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was cancellation. So you're supposed to get, I believe there's a $5 fee or something for cancellation. Cancellation is somebody who requests a ride and you're already on your way there and they deny it. There have been several times that I'd actually made it to my location and then they canceled. So I'd already driven like 10, 15 minutes to my location. Most of the time it ended up being where I drove like, say it was like 10 minutes away. I had already been driving for 3 or 4 minutes. But that 3 or 4 minutes is already a lot of time wasted because one, I couldn't get another request during that time, and also if you're going one way on the interstate, you gotta turn back around. So there's supposed to be a $5 cancellation fee. I think only once did I ever see a cancellation fee, and this happened a lot, and this happened twice during surge pricing on one night. And so I was just a little bummed because I missed a lot of the surge pricing. I was giving up a holiday so that I could work and make money, and I didn't end up making that much money that night because of cancellations. And so, and one of them was a cancellation where like I had to drive like 16 minutes or something, like pretty long like that, and like they didn't cancel until like I was over halfway there. So I don't know, I just, they're needed, I think things weren't monitored. I think Uber did things on its own without really being honest. This was something that was a little strange. So they had, you could get an iPhone for $10 a month, and it was just for the Uber thing. And I didn't want to use my personal phone for Ubering. They also didn't have the Android app at the time, so you had to use the iPhone anyway. And this way I could make calls and stuff and have my own safety net if something did happen. I had the iPhone and then I had my personal phone kind of hidden in a pocket just in case. There were a couple bad things about Uber that really bothered me, and one was the rating system. So I got some feedback, and you know, you have to like get, I think, stay above 4 stars or 4.5 stars. I can't remember now. before you get could possibly be removed from the Uber system and no longer be able to drive anymore. So there were, for a long time, I was a 5 for a long time, and then I suddenly went down like to a 4.3, and then so I logged into my Uber app. Well, the iPhone Uber app said that I was like a 4.3, and then if I logged into the computer, onto my computer, it would say it was a 4.4. It was just always fluctuating, and it would be like I would be on the iPhone at one time, and I would be on the computer, and they would say 2 different things, and I would be on there at the same time. And I'm like, well, so what is my real feedback score? How many star rating do I have? And then there was one time where I noticed it was different on those 2 apps, and then I had a client get in, because they always had so many questions, and ask me, hey, why do you have, I finally got it, I think, back up to like 4.8 or something. Why do you have 4.8? And I was like, what? I mean, that's not that. So that's 3 different numbers now. So I asked Uber about this, and they just pretty much said like that their ratings change after every 500 riders or something like that, and that sometimes it takes the system some time to update. Well, why wouldn't it update all the same? And I hadn't even had 500 drivers or however many they said they needed at the time. Like, you could only really make money Ubering on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. So it's not like I was taking a million people a night to be able to, raise my score. And I was very courteous, and I think some people did give me scores that were poor because I was a female, or because there was a couple times I said, I can only take 4 people. The other couple have to get another Uber. So I was following Uber's rules, and I even said, hey, Uber, there are people packing into my car, and they said, wait till another Uber driver can come. Let them know that they should wait till another Uber driver can come. And, so I did that, but then, I get poor feedback for following Uber's rules. So it was very hard. And so I just said, hey, I want to know what my feedback is and why. Like, I have experience with Uber. You start rate them. You can give feedback, like actual written feedback. And they said, we don't give that. And I said, why? And they said, because we keep it for our own data. And I said, well, if I'm my own employee, I would like to monitor my progress. And, although this isn't like my dream job, and, I only work here through grad school, I want to be good at it. Like, I want to make people happy. I want to make sure that they feel safe. I want to make sure they're having a good time. And if there's just something little, like temperature or smell, or, the way I talk or something, I don't know, I would like to change that. Like, I wasn't trying to be like, give me my feedback, I can't believe they said that about me. Like, I really genuinely wanted to make sure that I was doing the best job that I could. So I never got feedback. I complained about that a few times, and they could never really give me a good answer as to why my rating would be different all the time. And it was always just 1 or 2 points different, but like, I was always in the 4s, but it just made no sense why you wouldn't give me feedback, or why couldn't you read the feedback and give me some information. And I think some of it was also because a lot of it was based on them. Like, I couldn't allow that many people in my car, which is fine, but then they should disregard that. I should be able to like write wanted more people. Like, I should be able to leave some different feedback besides just a star rating on that person. Like, we could leave feedback about people too, but it wasn't written. It was just a star rating. If we wanted to write in, we actually had to like do a formal email. So anyway, the other thing that I think I got dinged on a lot is the Uber app for GPS sucked. It would say I would go pick up people from the college, and right across from the college, like across the whole street and everything, there was a cemetery. And it would show that I would need to go in the middle of the cemetery to pick up the little person icon. It would also sometimes direct me to that. It would say that I'm getting further away from the person, then closer. And so like, I wasn't completely familiar with some of these areas. And so like, I would be late, especially in the beginning when I realized the GPS. I didn't realize the GPS sucked, because I eventually just started using my own GPS. But like, it would take me to the wrong place. It would take me completely to the wrong place. It wasn't even like a block or 2 away. It would be like 10, 15 minutes away. It was ridiculous. And this happened a lot. And I contacted them several times about this, and they just said, you need to be more familiar with the area. So this happened often, and even times I always use their GPS on, even when I use my own, because I wanted to see, and it was probably 50% of the time that their GPS was off. So that's a little concerning. And also another thing that's concerning, that I probably got bad feedback for, was and this happens to other Ubers, because I did ask, I have a request and I can accept or deny it, and it says they're 3 minutes away. I accept it and it doubles to 6. It did that almost all the time, especially if it was under 10 minutes. So if it was 9 minutes or less. Usually when it was like 12 minutes or something, it didn't double it. So I don't know if there's a weird thing with it being 9 minutes or under. So anyway, so there were times when it would say that I was 9 minutes away from them, I would accept it, and it would double to 18. Well, I found out that that was also happening on the clients. And so they thought that I was 9 minutes away, and then I would show up and I would be 9 minutes late. So some of them are waiting outside for me. And oftentimes people would call and say, it said you have arrived, or that you were arriving 2 minutes ago. And I'd be like, well, I'm still like 2 or 3 minutes away. So people get irritated, and I don't blame them. They're out in the cold, or they're ready to go, or they, said to their friend, hey, we're going to leave in 5 minutes, and it ends up being 10. It's frustrating. And then that also means that if the GPS isn't working, so it's saying that instead of it being 5 minutes, it ends up being 10, even if I would have gotten there appropriately, then I take it the wrong directions because of GPS, and I end up being there 7 to 10 minutes after they wanted me to, or expected me to. So, I do believe that was part of the reason Uber was keeping some of the feedback, is because really the feedback wasn't the issues with me. It wasn't like I had a bad personality, or I smelled funny, or, I was leaving people as they were stepping out of the cars, they were like breaking their necks. I don't know. I I really do believe that there was a reason they weren't giving me feedback, because I specifically asked for it. I wasn't asking for it because they said they also said that they were doing it to protect confidentiality. However, they could take the names off the clients. I don't remember what clients I am using. Or I don't remember all the clients. I don't remember where they live. You don't have to give me any of the information. Just give me what they said happened. Or just give me some feedback. That's all I really wanted. I don't want to go find these people, and I really don't feel like it was for confidentiality. I just don't. So that was a big issue. Those two things with the time and the GPS not working were probably my two most frustrating things, especially because we have a few streets in the area that I did it in that were one way, and it would tell me to go the other way. There was one time I went down wrong way street with a client. They were so drunk I don't think they remembered, but it was very difficult to do a good job. And although, again, it wasn't my dream job, I try to do good things with whatever I do. I try very hard because I want to make a good impression, and I don't want to just be like, I'm an Uber driver, I just do this because I have to. I want people to have a good night, and I enjoyed a lot of the people. It was fun, talking to people and getting to know them, even when they were a little drunk. There were people who went a little bit overboard, and I didn't enjoy, or there was a couple times I felt unsafe, but for the most part, I really did enjoy it. It wasn't worth the money. If you just need a side job and have nothing better to do, yeah. But I cleaned my car so much, I made sure everything was smelled nice. I made sure everything was clean and polished, and it was a lot of work for a very low amount of money. The one thing I will tell you that was nice is these boys, and I feel bad because it was the one that, because I normally talk to the person who ordered the Uber, because they're the one who's rating me, they're the one who has, who's using Uber, and so I normally talk to them first. I normally said, hi Matthew, or whatever. I wanted to make sure that, they were the ones I was talking to. And I would talk to everybody in the car eventually, but I would first initiate conversation with whoever requested it. Plus, I needed to know where they wanted to go, because not everybody put that address in. Oh, also, another thing is the addresses would often, this probably happened, I don't know, in the 6-7 months I Ubered, this probably happened probably 10 times. And a lot of times I caught it because I would just text the person and be like, where am I picking you up? Give me a exact location. There would be times where for some reason, the Uber app would flip-flop the location I was picking them up and the location I was dropping them off. So if I was picking them up at Applebee's and dropping them off at their house on River Road, it would take me to their house first instead of Applebee's. And that happened a few times before I realized I just need to text these people and ask them their exact address. There were just a lot of frustrating things about it. The one good thing that I really did like about it was, so these guys, and this one guy is the one who ordered it, and he was very polite and respectful. They were all a little drunk and they wanted to go to Taco Bell, and I don't mind. I didn't mind if people ate in my car. It's an Uber thing where if people want to have pets in your car, or they want to eat in your car, it's an Uber driver's responsibility to say yes or no. And I was pretty cool with that. Almost every time somebody ate in the car, I did have to pick up a wrapper or something small. It wasn't a huge deal. It kind of made me a little frustrated, but it wasn't a huge deal. Well, these guys wanted to go to Taco Bell, and the nice thing about when people want to eat is I didn't stop the tab. I'm waiting in a drive-thru, I didn't stop the tab, so it kept rolling while we're waiting in a drive-thru and ordering food. So it was just easy money, and it's something they wanted to do. And a lot of times people would talk about whether they would go to an Uber or go home and get their car and drive. And I'm like, well, why are you getting an Uber if you're going to drink and drive in a few minutes? So I felt like I was keeping the streets a little safer by that. But we go to Taco Bell, and there are 5 guys in this car. Again, my car only fits 4. But they were really nice and everything. So then they're like, we want to go to Taco Bell, and I was like, okay. And we were legit 5 minutes from their house, and they ordered $55 of food. And every time anybody ordered food, they always asked me if I wanted something. They always asked if they could get me anything, and I never did. But I thought that was always kind of nice. So they asked if I wanted anything. No. So it was $55. And a lot of the stuff was on the dollar menu. So there was 3 big, huge bags of stuff that they got. And so he was like, let's just eat it. The guy who was in the front seat, and he was the one who ordered the Uber, he heard some rustling, and he was like, let's just eat it when we get back. Let's just eat it when we get back. Don't open it. You're just going to leave a mess in our car. We'll eat it when we get back. And he was also like, dude, don't eat my tacos. So, anyway, I really feel bad for rating them poorly and what happened, because he was trying to be responsible. His friends in the back were not. There were shells everywhere. There was wrapping. There was lettuce. There was cheese, dug into my seat. And, they also left their cell phone, so as soon as I get out, because I knew it had to be a mess from the noises that were being made, and you could just, turned around and looked, because every time somebody got out of my car, I just made sure that nothing was left and stuff, because you're supposed to, make sure it was tidy. And so I drove around the block, and it was a very nice neighborhood, very wealthy neighborhood, and I go around the block and I look, and it's just, my car's a mess, and then I hear a phone call, and somebody left their phone, so I had to go back. They saw the mess, and so anyway, they go in, or I think they started partying in the garage, I don't know, I was only there for a couple minutes, and in that couple minutes they were able to start partying again. So anyway, this was actually prime time, so I was really mad because it was 1:30, 2 a.m. and normally 2 a.m. is when you start getting the surge pricing, and it gets a little bit more, you get a little bit more money because you might get the surge pricing and people are, leaving the bars and stuff. So I was really mad because it was a lot to clean up, and there's no way I would have been able to clean it without going to a machine, and I'm not going to go to a machine and clean it up at night. I contacted Uber and I took pictures and I let them know what happened, and I cleaned it up a little bit, and I wanted to clean it myself, but they said I had to get a receipt. So anyway, and I did express, that I'm really concerned about the fact that this happened. I'm really concerned that I lost money because I was going to continue Ubering till 3:30 to 4, and I said they could check my logs and see that that's what I generally do, so they didn't just think I was being a baby. And I even did let them know, like, the guy who ordered it, I feel bad because he was really nice and everything, but it was his buddies. So anyway, they ended up giving me $50, and from what I understand, they charged that guy. So I feel bad for him, but I do think that that was handled very well. Like, it was $14 to go get my car cleaned. So everything else, I mean, I might have been able to make a little bit more than that, yeah, but I was expecting them just to pay to get my car cleaned. So I do feel like that was more than I expected. Yes, I lost probably a little bit more money than that, and I had to take like 45 minutes out of my day to get my car cleaned and stuff, but I do think that they handled that well. So I think it's a nice service. I think, I don't understand why taxis aren't doing this more and getting into where you can just order by an app, because the bad thing about taxis in the area that I lived in was you had to call, and if they didn't have one for you, you'd just have to call back. Like, they didn't put you on a waiting list or anything. And the taxis were about the same price. Like, I didn't find Uber incredibly cheaper or more expensive than the taxis at all. The taxis also weren't really kept clean. Ubers are kept clean. I've been in probably 15, 20 different Uber cars, and I've only had 2 bad experiences. And one, the guy was like high, drunk, I don't know, and it was very scary. He was going up on curbs, and it was my poor friend's first time Ubering, and I was like, I promise it's not normally like this. So anyway, I know there's some videos kind of like random all over the place, and it's because I did contact them about a lot of stuff because I wanted to make sure that I was safe, and I also felt like there are going to be a lot of other people who really kind of need this job and they think it's going to be a good gig. And I wanted to hopefully hear that Uber was at least going to work on some of my concerns, because I don't think that like most of my concerns, like about not getting money for the cancellations, about the safety concerns, about people packing in, about the feedback, I don't think my concerns were crazy at all. I mean, maybe that's just because that, I'm the one saying the concerns. But anyway, I think that especially if you're a female, just expect that people are going to notice. When I dressed down and I didn't wear cute clothes or didn't look that nice, is when I felt like I got treated with the most respect, and I felt like people were not being as sexual in nature with me. And so once I did that, I felt like my trips were a lot better. But sometimes, like, I would go, out to dinner or something, and then I would go Uber right afterwards, so sometimes I couldn't help it. But I did feel like I got treated a lot differently according to how I dressed and stuff like that, and you got treated differently by what time you're doing it. So if you're on the way to the bar, you got treated a lot differently than on the way home. So the good experiences was just talking to people, getting to know people in your area. You got to, like, I had a couple children in my car and their parents that were like in their probably preteens. Most of the people that Ubered with me were between 18 and I would say 35. But I had even a couple people who were like in their 50s and 60s. So I got to, meet a girl who was on the way to the ER. There was a girl who threw up on the highway, and that was not fun. And Uber did not really help me with that. I was not very happy. They didn't really help me with that, but I didn't make a huge deal out of it either. I got to know people like that. I got to know people who were visiting in the holidays and where they lived and where they traveled. I got to drive a couple doctors around, and that was kind of fun, and dentists, and I enjoyed talking. A lot of people wanted to talk. Like, most Ubers, when you go to Uber in bigger cities, there's no conversation, and that's why it's a lot different. Like, it might be wise to talk to an Uber, and if you're thinking about getting into this, it might be nice to talk to an Uber in your area, a couple people, to see how it is. Because I also talked to people in the area I Ubered in, and some of them loved it and some of them didn't. And I didn't tell those people that I was an Uber, so, they might have just been saving face and being like, I love it. Because when people were like, do you like Ubering? I wasn't like, But, I mean, I would talk a little bit honestly about some of the things if they would ask me specifically, like, how do you keep yourself safe and stuff. I would just say, you just gotta be careful and stuff, or, what frustrates you. And I would say, well, sometimes I just want to let you know that it says that I'm going to be there in 5 minutes, but it's really 10, stuff like that. So I would say that this is a good gig for temporary if people need money. You have to be tolerant of people and people touching your things, and you have to realize that this is probably not a good source of full-time income. That's just my opinion. And you know, I really liked the service. Lyft was not in my area. There were no other services in my area for me to be a part of, or I would have probably tried those. And who doesn't love a pink mustache? I mean, a lot of people don't love pink mustaches. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on Uber below. Again, this was just my experience. I'm not saying I hate or love Uber. This is just my experience. I no longer do it. And again, my experiences with Uber ended about 9 months ago, so things could have changed. But I had a few people who thought that this would be good information, and so I thought I would put it out there. If you're my regular subscribers, you'll know what I'm going to say next, but if you're not, if you're considering getting a pet, please check your local rescues and animal shelters. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a good day.